Hey, hope you guys had an amazing weekend. Last week, I had an incredible lunch with an old friend, and you know, I'm a true believer that true friendship can last through anything. That you could spend months and months and months, in this case 6 months, without seeing the person, talking to the person, sit down with them and start up the conversation like you had seen them last week. I love that. Absolutely love that. So we had an incredible conversation, and something came out that is very humbling to me. The reason I do these little video sessions is with the hopes that my struggles, my trials in life and business can help someone else. I don't do this as a woe is me thing. I'm just hoping that some way, somehow, what I'm talking about will help somebody. Someone will say, hey, I'm not alone. Or, I get that. Or, so, we were talking about the negative conversation that we have in our head. And I've mentioned this several times, and I think I really need to get much more on top of this, for me personally. Because and this is hard to say out loud, especially to everyone. Here's the reality of Dale Maxwell. I was talking to my good friend about this as well. So, I have an incredible amount of negative conversation in my head. I have an incredible amount of self-doubt, self-esteem issues. There's a lot of those things that go on in my head every single day. And what I really struggle with is the difference between confidence and egotism. I cannot stand egotism. Whereas confidence is very healthy, is very good. But I struggle in myself to define the differences, to define where that line is, so to speak. So, the conversation that we had was, I put myself down a lot out loud. So, when I'm around people, I call myself the fat kid, the slow one, hey, I'm just an ignorant kid from Idaho, yada, yada, yada. And I'm not saying it truly and honestly to be self-defeating. That's not my purpose. My actual conscious purpose is twofold. Partly attention, to get attention, but mostly it's a screwed up little thing. So mostly the reason I put myself down is with the thought of lifting everyone else up. So how this screwy thing works in my head is, if I bring myself down, then that elevates everyone around me up. Okay, in a rudimentary sense, I guess that makes sense. And it must make sense to me because I've been doing it since I was in high school. Is if I tear myself down, then everybody else is automatically elevated, in my perspective. It doesn't happen in truth, but it happens in my world, because if I bring myself down, then I have to look up to see everyone else. Here's the problem with this, though. Here's the problem with this, is by me having negative thoughts in my head, that's very detrimental to me. That's a very negative spiral. But we all have negative thoughts. I don't care who you are. I don't care how positive you are. We all have some kind of negative thoughts about ourselves, one way or the other. Some of us more than others. But here's the problem with what I do. and with others that I know in my life who say these things out loud. It's hard enough having these things in our heads, but there's a psychological principle that as soon as we say it out loud, we put words to it, we, like a good buddy of mine, breathe life into it. Now, we could breathe life into very positive things, or we could breathe life into very negative things. So I have these negative thoughts. I have these bad things going on in my head. And as soon as I start saying, oh yeah, you know, fat kid this and dumb redneck that and whatever, guess what? I just breathed life into what's going on up here. And if I'm truly honest with myself, if I am truly introspective, I can tell you that when I get down and when I get out and when I get negative, that's when I'm doing that the most. So here's my little piece of advice for what it's worth. Breathe life into positive things. Breathe life in the things that we are good at. And for those of us who have this issue, that struggle with this, it's really hard, and I'll just speak for myself, it's really hard for me to speak out loud the things that I'm good at or that I know that I'm competent at, because once again, I have a hard time with that line between arrogance and confidence. Screw that. Let it go. Arrogance is all about me. Arrogance is all about lifting myself up above others. Confidence is about me lifting myself up so I can lift everybody else up around me. So guys, you're amazing. I love you to death. Having an awesome day. I'll catch you on the flip side.